Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. We're the most compassionate, generous country in the West. Tell that to the young people that are still looking for their parents that were separated under the previous administration. Mr. Bier, and I know my friends on the other side don't like to hear it, but fentanyl and other hard drugs are smuggled through ports of entry into the U.S. by, unfortunately, U.S. citizens. These drugs are usually hidden in vehicles, cargo, or on a person in the hopes that it won't be detected by CBP as they process people and goods into the country. What policy changes can we make to allow personnel at ports of entry to focus on interdiction of drugs?
Well, the most important policy change that can be made in this area addresses the demand for drugs. Ultimately, if U.S. consumers are willing to pay for illicit narcotics to come into the country, the black market will supply it. And we've seen that for the last century of prohibition, whether it's alcohol prohibition, whether it's drug prohibition, we have seen this phenomenon. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, when we greatly restricted trade and travel, it forced the shift from heroin to fentanyl, which is a far more potent and more deadly substance. And so I do not believe that there is a solution to fentanyl smuggling at ports of entry. At the end of the day, the black market is supplying drugs to U.S. consumers who are paying for it. And as long as we focus on supply and ignore the drug war victims and not address their needs, not provide them with options to protect themselves against fentanyl, wouldn't it be great if fentanyl test strips were legalized nationwide so that people can know what they're ingesting so they're not ending up like victims that we've heard about today? We need options. We need physicians to be able to actually treat addiction in this country and not be prohibited from for example, prescribing methadone to their patients. So there are options out there. I do not believe that restricting trade and travel and trying to crack down on immigration or even on U.S. citizens travel abroad is the solution to the pandemic of fentanyl poisonings.
And so you're saying that the demand is so great that there's always going to be opportunities for people to try to benefit on that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. For example, marijuana is trafficked between ports of entry. We know this has been the case for decades. We ended up during the early 2000s increasing the Border Patrol, doubling the size of the Border Patrol. We doubled the amount of marijuana seizures, but the amount of marijuana in the United States did not go down because the difference in cost of production in Mexico and elsewhere is so low, it's easy to just smuggle some more. And so it didn't work. And in fact, it backfired in that case as well because marijuana potency, according to the DEA, increased by more than 30% as a result of that crackdown. So we see it again and again and again. Crackdowns produce higher potency drugs, which are more dangerous to drug users. We need to focus on protecting drug users, not more crackdowns, not more border crackdowns, not more banning of asylum. That's not the answer to this problem.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.